I think a very handful of people within the Trump administration would know that for the fact. There is a lot of disinformation, confusing informations, half-true informations. But in general, if there are certain, on the premises that there are certain secret discussions, I think uh, talking doesn't harm. I think what is clear is that the military machine of Iranian regime is getting destroyed day by day, hour by hour. And I think that the US and Israel are achieving what are initially set goals, which is to dismantle all the nuclear, all the ballistic production facilities, the drones facilities, and I would say pretty much the entire military capabilities of the regime. Well, look, everybody talk about the regime change. There are various fractions outside Iran that are discussing. The Crown Prince Pahlavi has just announced this transitional council, something similar as I would, although I didn't read the document yet, but something similar to what happened in post-Gaddafi Libya. I think, as focusing on getting rid of all the missiles, not just heading towards Israel, but heading to the so many countries in a region, including your great Kurdistan region. I think that's the top priority. How will the transition of Iranian society happen? I believe it's really, and it's not just as a saying as a foreigner, but I think really those Iranian voices are the people who have to talk about this. Iranian Kurds, Iranian Arabs, Iranian Christians. With the complete blackout, it is impossible to know, where is the nucleus of society of Iranians at this point. And so we are, I think, still in a stage. Well, I've been always a big fan of Kurdish people, and I think you've proven in history and definitely in recent. I think it's a first and foremost objective, and I think that the second objective comes also to the ballistic missiles that also can reach to Europe and the wider, and maybe California, whatever other allies destinations. But clearly, look, the Trump administration was not pleased with the way of the negotiations with this regime, and they figured out that they have been lying to the any agreement that was reached, and that their ultimate goal is to build the strong, possibly even undefeatable missile production systems, and possibly even the nuclear weapons. So I think that is really the primary goal. And I think that the President Trump would not be happy to see these people staying to deal with any other US president in decades, as much as this whole overwhelming destructions of the military capabilities in Iran are going to take an enormous toll on countries' capabilities, which at this point is the focus of campaign. Yes, I really do, and I think the first weeks of this campaign has proven so quite boldly. But I think what the President Trump was seeking was more strategic support, more political, if you will, or geopolitical pressure on whatever the Iranian leadership at this point actually is, as fractured and fragmented as these pockets of people, some being eliminated with the drones, some in confrontations between mullahs and between fractions in the Revolutionary Guard, and the role of the newly elected supreme leader and his condition that really we were sort of in a gray area here and in dark. But I think what President Trump really wanted is say, hey, you know what, we all have a stakes in here. And there is this very strong rhetoric coming from the representatives of the Iranian regime, which was actually the case for a long time. Oh, nobody will dare to attack us, so we will obliterate everyone. Well, not exactly. So, but I think Steimer is, I think, case also what your esteemed colleague mentioned. I think there is a certain risk between a much more broader and deeper political disagreements between current leadership in the United Kingdom and Trump administrations, to which Secretary Rubio was very blunt on a number of occasions to very openly criticize the United Kingdom government. So I think militarily, the United States with Israel, it's overwhelming force. Strategically, putting the pressure so that Iranians, people who are in a position of some decisions, would come to a certain senses to seize the power and then talk with the people, with all the different groups of Iranian, to see what would be the future of Iran. However that will pass, it's again way too early. And I know it's $1 million questions that everyone, including myself, would like to is thinking on, but I think it's too premature at this point. I think there are so many moving pieces globally over the campaign in Iran. The role of China, Russians are happy today because some sanctions for their oil trading has been lifted given the situations. There is an emergency. Reserves of oil being flooded in the market, which I think the effects we will see this week and the weeks to come. But still, I think that as they go by and the weeks go by, the leaderships in various European capitals are going to recalibrate their position. And I think whether that will be too late or too little too late in the eyes of President Trump, that's yet to be seen. But I think, again, his call for the Europeans, and as I understood, Macron is sending some 10 ships into the region. But I think this was more of showing to the Iranian, these handful of folks who are in a decision-making positions, hey, look, you know what? Here we are pretty much all sick and tired of this all, and this has to end. Soon is better for you. So I think that's was his strategic thinking when it comes to calling for homicide. And about this Kirk Island, look, he really is that a problem for the U.S. to occupy? No, and I think many of the various action plans by Central America being. Look, you need to understand, this is the president with which you don't fool around. I think he has proven this forever, for the better or the worse. You may like him, you may dislike him, you may hate him, you may love him, you may be strong MAGA supporter. But look, we are coming into the midterms, and president is very much aware that also within the GOP leadership in Congress, the support that the administration has now within its base, if this drags way too long, or if the gasoline in American gas stations go above $5, we may have the GOP may have a serious problem coming November. And if that be the case, the stakes, as President says, before he attacked Iran, it's a high gamble, but a high risk and high gain. He knew that if he would be losing midterm elections, look, he may be impeached. And so I think that he's extremely focused to do this as fast as possible, and then to make sure that the essential oil flow continues. And I think he would be keen to do that this way or another.